everybody, welcome back to Brelsford Family Homestead. I'm Darcy. Today we're canning beans. The first one up is chickpeas or garbanzo beans. I may do these black beans. I have 5 pounds of each as well. We'll just have to see how I can time it all out today. I'm down a big burner on my stove, which makes things a little bit more difficult. But what I'm going to do the quick soak method for these today. I am following the instructions from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. It's a proven safe canning method, so that is what we're going to do. I'm going to sort these beans. I would encourage you to never skip that step. Many times I have found stones inside my dry beans, no matter what the source was. So save your teeth and sort through your beans. So we're going to do that. We're going to rinse them, and then we will boil some water, put the beans in a pot, pour the boiling water on them, and then boil them for 2 minutes, remove from heat, and let them soak for an hour. When we get past that step, then I'll tell you the rest. So you can, if you don't want to do the quick soak method, you could just put them in water at night before you go to bed and then start the process the next day. So this is what I'm going to do. I've heard the quick soak method produces less mushy beans. I am not sure that I agree with that. I'm not sure. I've done the soak overnight so many times and they were fine. But for my chickpeas, I'm going to be making hummus. So if they are mushy, it doesn't really matter to me. So let me pull you down. And I'm just going to go through these. I have another bowl here. Here's my instructions. I print those off. I need to get a copy of their book. But just go through, and check for anything that is not a bean, like a stone. Who knows what you sometimes can find inside your food. And, anything that looks just not quite right, and take it out. And once you get through all of them, then I'm going to put them in a colander and rinse them. Real quick, I thought I'd show you another alternate way if you didn't want to use your hands. Would be to, oh, that's loud. Is to use a cookie sheet. I've done it this way too. Sometimes that helps to see better. It just depends. These are so big compared to some others that I find them easier to sort and easier to see the difference in color versus, a dark stone on a dark bean. I finished sorting my beans and I only took out a few. No rocks, stones, whatever in this one. But I did find this one. So, you want to take things like that out. It feels different. Obviously, some little worm or something was chewing on that. You don't want that one. Don't mind my dirty dishes in the sink. I'm going to take that one out too. It's kind of a weird color. I'm just going to give these a good rinse. Probably put them back in that bowl, fill it with water, and pour it through here just to make sure they're all rinsed. And then I'm going to put it in my big Dutch oven and pour the boiling water over it. Okay, I've got my water boiling there. I'm going to go ahead and put this in here without making a mess, hopefully. Oh, at least the stove's clean. Okay. Okay, we need to boil these for 2 minutes, and after that we will let them, we'll remove it from the heat and let them sit for 1 hour. While I'm waiting for the beans to boil, I did want to say that this same soaking method, whether you do it overnight or what I'm doing now, the quick soak, is the same for all types of beans. If you go to the website, you can print this out, and it is for all beans and peas, shelled or dried, all varieties. Now, I will be doing mine in the garbanzo beans in quarts, and that will be at 10 pounds of pressure for my altitude for 90 minutes in the pressure canner. So depending on your altitude, that could be different. So make sure you check that out, and to make sure that you Google the altitude for your particular property, because it may not be the same as the town altitude that you live in. For me, that is the case. So anyway, get this. This is almost back up to a boil, and I'll let it boil for 2 minutes. My beans are done boiling for the 2 minutes. I just brought them up so they're off of the heat, and they're gonna sit here for an hour. Then I will drain them. Then we have to cover them again with water and boil them for 30 minutes. But I have decided that when I'm done with this, instead of boiling them in this pot, because I really want there to be a little bit more room for expansion, I'm going to put them in my roaster to boil, and that will just make it easier for me. So you do want to make sure you have a really good size pot. I mean, this is a big Dutch oven, but I just want to make sure that there is plenty of room once they have fully hydrated to not be making an extra big mess. The hour is up, so I'm going to attempt to drain these without making a big mess. I guess I'll let you see what happens. I've got my roaster already plugged in with water, so I can put these in there to boil for 30 minutes. I could do it in this pot, but there's just like barely enough room. So I'll get the rest of those after this batch. I'm going to take these over to the roaster. All right, I've got water in here already. It's not quite to boiling. We'll get these in here. And I'll go grab the others. Okay, this has plenty of water in it for them to fully rehydrate. That's something you want to make sure you do, that you have enough space, because if you don't, then they're going to take up a bunch of water in the can. When you go to can them, they'll get to be a big brick and everything. So make sure plenty of water and plenty of space to expand. I'm going to let this, I'll put the lid on, let this come up to a boil and cook it for 30 minutes. Okay, you can see my beans are boiling. So those are done. I'm going to start loading them into the jars. I have my kettle here with boiling water in it so that it can top it off. With that, you can use the cooking juice or fresh boiling water. Okay, I've got a hot jar to put hot things in. I'm gonna fill this about 2/3 full or so of the beans, and then fill it to 1 inch head space with water. You can use the cooking liquid or fresh boiled water, which is what I have in my kettle here, and that's what I'm going to do. You just need to make sure you leave enough room for these to expand, because even though they've been hydrated and all of that, they will still continue to absorb water, and if there isn't enough space for them, then it just becomes compacted in there, what they call a bean brick. And that's, I mean, you can still use them, but it's not fun to have to scrape them out like that. We need 1 inch of head space, and we do need to debubble. Just use a skewer or your measurer just to move that around and make sure you get all of the air out, and we are good to go. Wipe the rim. This has some vinegar on it. Clean lid, new lid, ring, and we're just going to, and a fingertip tight, and put this in the canner. got the 7 quarts in the canner. I'm going to put the lid on, turn the heat on, and vent this for 10 minutes. Then put the weight on and process it for 90 minutes. I put my weight on. It's starting to rock, so I just set my timer for 90 minutes. Sorry, I missed to show you when it was venting and when I put the weight on. That is a 10-pound weight. Now we wait 90 minutes. I had about 3 quarts plus a tiny little bit more of beans that I could can, so I have another canner going now with those 3 quarts plus some water. I decided I'm not going to can the black beans today, so I may or may not edit and put this in here before it's the end. So I'm going to soak these overnight and can these tomorrow. So I've sorted these. I'm going to rinse them, and then I'm going to put them in a very large pot completely covered with water and let them soak for 12 to 18 hours. I do follow for dried beans, peas of all varieties. It's the same process, and I follow the directions found on the National Center for Food Preservation. I will link that below. So after these have soaked overnight, I will drain them, rinse them, and I'll put them to boil for 30 minutes, and then we'll start the canning process. So I'm going to do pints. I think double stack, I think, in my Presto. We'll see. Tomorrow I'll just decide for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and get these rinsed. This is a total of 10 pounds of organic black beans that I've bought at one of my local Amish stores. I'm going to fill this pot completely with water. Then I'll put a lid on it and let it sit on the counter overnight. It's the next morning and my beans have been soaking overnight. See, maybe you can't see. I'm going to drain these now and put them to boil with fresh water for 30 minutes. I've got these covered with water. I'm going to let it bring up to a full boil and boil them for 30 minutes. And then we'll get them packed in jars. While we're waiting for the beans to boil, I thought I would show you what I'm going to be using. I have this jar lifter for putting the jars in and out of the canner and taking them out of my roaster, which I'll show you in a minute. Some paper towel I'll have some vinegar to wipe off the lids, a funnel. This just helps me adjust the headspace easily by adding or taking out small amounts of water. This is to measure the headspace, but also to debubble and to scoop out a large ladle to scoop out the beans. And this is my roaster. It's kind of reflective. I've got my jars in there. I like to use that to keep my jars hot. My canner is here. I'm going to do double stack pints. And I have this kettle that will have boiling water to put water inside with the beans when we can them up. Okay, my beans are done cooking for the 30 minutes. I've got hot water, I've got all my things together. The only thing I didn't show you was you need rings and wash and ready lids. So I forgot to show you that part. So anyway, let's turn you down here. See if I can get this all in frame. I've got my jars in my roaster in boiling water. I'm only going to put about this ladle full of beans inside because I want to put fresh water, because they will still continue to absorb water. And if I don't give them enough space, then they will just be kind of like a solid brick. We need an inch of head space. I definitely put too much water in that, but that's what I use this spoon for. I'm going to first debubble it. You can use a knife or a skewer or something like that too. But one of these is needed for proper headspace. Put a little vinegar on there. Wipe that. This is really hot, so be careful. Grab it with this and put it in the canner. I just thought I would show you real quick. I have this Presto, I think it says 23 quart. Anyway, I have those pints in there, and then I'm just using this trivet from my other canner. It fits down in there perfectly, and then I will fill this part. Okay, my canner is full, so I'm going to put the lid on here, lining up those arrows, turn the heat up, and once this starts steaming here, I'll let that vent for 10 minutes, and then I will put my weight on. These are pints, so they'll be processed for 75 minutes. If you were doing quarts, it's 90 minutes according to my elevation, so check your elevation. My pressure gauge is on and jiggling, so I just set my timer for 75 minutes. This canner has a gauge, but you can get the optional weight instead. Gauges do need to be calibrated from time to time, and as you can see, it is not accurate. It shows that it is at, I don't know, 12 pounds of pressure, but it's not, it's at 10. This is a 10-pound pressure gauge, so keep that in mind. If you get a canner that only has the gauge, you do need to get them calibrated at times to make sure they're showing the proper pressure. So this will go for 75 minutes. When it's done, I'll take it off the heat and let it sit until the pressure comes all of the way down. Then I will remove the weight, let it sit for a minute, crack the lid a little bit, and then take the lid off, remove the cans from the jar, the jars from the canner, and let them sit for 12 to 24 hours before I take the rings off and check the seal and label them. All right, that first load of 16 pints is done. I'll wait until tomorrow to take the rings off and wash them and label them, that you can see here. I did have 3 more quarts worth of beans that I put in the canner, and I added some water. So if you would like to see some more canning videos, I will put them here. Thanks for watching. Let me know what beans you try. We'll see you next time. God bless.